Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Today, we discuss the Breitling Superocean Heritage Chronograph, and this is of the second generation of Superocean Heritage Chronograph. It's the 44mm stainless steel model, so 44 in diameter. It's 15.6 millimeters thick and 54.2 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip, with a 22mm spacing between the lugs. Throw it on the wrist, and you can see it is a large timepiece. I wouldn't recommend it for a wrist smaller than mine, so my wrist is 16 centimeters, and I suggest you wear this on a wrist of my size or larger. The timepiece isn't particularly thin, so keep in mind it's not going to fit underneath the tightest of dress sleeves, but that's not really why you wear a watch like this. You could see between the lugs, just barely at the right angle, that there are some numbers, and essentially what those numbers give you is the knowledge that this watch was made in 2019. You have a week, which is the first two numbers, and then you have another set, 19, which would give you the year. That's how Breitling cases and bracelets are marked. And you can see that the watch is pushing right out to the edge of my wrist. I don't have a whole lot of clearance left there. Here we have a lovely Ocean Classic strap. It looks like the Ocean Classic bracelet, which is unusual because it is a rubber strap that looks like a mesh bracelet, but it feels good, it looks good, and it's nice and pliant and vulcanized rubber. You have some hollows on the underside to vent the wrist. You can see it actually has the same side profile as the cut mesh bracelet. And then there are some perforations mixed in so you can cut this to length. And that is the idea, that you will cut it to length. You can see it's pre-perforated. And you only need to get close because this is Breitling's more upscale clasp design. There's a push-button slider with about 1 centimeter of adjustment internally and several different stops and detents. It's also a twin trigger release, so you need to press both triggers to pop this open. So this is not one of the clamshell fixed Breitling clasps. You can also see impressively it's polished both inside and out. Taking a look at the case, it's inspired by late 50s, early 60s Breitling Superocean watches, most notably the 1957 reference 1004, and a lot of the elements of that first Superocean are immortalized in the profile of the case, the design of the bezel, the layout of the dial, its hands, the lug profiles. It's certainly more imposing than a vintage original would be, but you can see right down to the pump pushers and the lack of a crown guard. This is designed to be an overtly vintage-inspired watch. We have a wonderfully loud and vocal 120-click bezel. Key difference between the Superocean Heritage 2s and the 1s is that the 1s didn't feature luminescent bezel pearls, which sort of defeats the purpose on a dive watch. Here, we get an upgrade. We get ceramic insert, and then we also get a luminescent bezel pearl. Turn everything off, and you can see that it's easy to line up the minute hand with the bezel pearl. So if you wish, you can time two events concurrently, one with the chrono and one with the bezel. Now, the bezel, as you can see, has little screws on the side. That's called a captive bezel. The bezel's held to the case using those screws rather than snapped on. The flip side of that is, unlike Omega or Rolex, the bezel can't be snapped off by accident. So you have more durability with the screw-fixed captive bezel. Screw-down crown, as you can see on the reverse side, 200 meters water-resistant in good taste. Breitling kept that off the dial. We have rhodium-plated steel hands indices, and as you can see, a Breitling B logo, now bereft of wings. George Kern of Breitling wants you to think of Breitling as a land, sea, and air sports company, not just air. Tone-on-tone dial. In the modern era of Breitling watches, a tone-on-tone dial on a chronograph lets you know this is an in-house caliber. We have a blue sunburst dial base, and as you can see, we have little polished chapter rings for each of the matte black sub-registers, so very attractive all told. The watch has a stop seconds function. It also has a quick set date, so you can rapidly set the date if you wish. And Breitling has given us a date disc that matches the color of the dial, which I love to see. Flip it all over, and you can see the caliber B01, first launched in 2009 on the Chronomats. It was never designed for a display case back. So we're just lucky that the movement itself is handsome. You can see a lot of the underlying mechanism, and a big part of the allure of a watch like this is the ability to see things like the levers and horns of the chronograph and the column wheel. Automatic winding, 70-hour power reserve, column wheel and vertical clutch. The column wheel gives you crispness of operation. The vertical clutch gives you smooth engagement, and if you wish, you can leave it running on a full-time basis with no additional wear and tear. wear. This 47 jewel movement is adjusted in 5 positions, and it features a COSC Swiss chronometer certification, so it is chock-a-block with useful features and important refinements. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.